drive an old clapped out hoopty, and there's not a good option for cool modern tow mirrors. Kind of like this truck. Original quarter-ton style side mirrors, but we got a wide rear. How about some more modern Chevy tow mirrors? We're going to throw these on and show you how, well, we do it. Now let's talk about these mirrors for just a second, because every mirror you get is going to be a little different. I can't remember what generation 3/4 ton, 1-ton Chevy these came off of. I almost went with Dodge mirrors because I know Dodge tow mirrors trigger everyone. But I felt like the shape of this mirror was a closer match to what we're working with on the S10. So depending on what kind of truck you have, this is going to vary a little bit. So keep that in mind. The other thing about these, man, they were pretty cheap. I think on Amazon, I paid, I don't know, $150 for the pair. And they have the turns, or not the turn signals, the clearance lights. Well, turn signals also. Turn signals. They're heated. They have backup lights for reverse. And these are extremely high quality. And they were, you know what impressed me the most was the packaging. The packaging that these things came in from whatever supplier on Amazon was probably the best packed product I've ever received. And we receive a ton. So anyhow, this is what we're going with for the S10. If you've got a OBS or a NBS or brick nose, you may just have to look and see what fits. For us, the Chevy seemed the closest. We've already got started over here, so I'm trying not to give too much away. But yeah, so just pay attention to that. That's why we went with this, I guess. So we've already started on the driver's side. Wanted to kind of get a handle on what needed to happen. So we're going to start on the passenger side today. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details because this is going to be model specific. We're going to pop the old mirrors off. We've got to remove this window channel felt strip stuff. You technically probably don't have to, but I want to get the glass out, and my stuff is just wrecked anyhow. So I'm going to pull all this stuff out because I'm going to rebuild all these doors inside and out. So now seems like a good time to do it. And that way when we're grinding and welding and stuff, we're not going to worry about breaking any glass. So I'm going to take all the stuff apart and we'll be back with the next step. All right, so we got the door broken down, got the old mirror off. It's 3 screws, 3 bolts, real easy. The channel felt, that's going to vary make to make. I'm just kind of showing you what we're working with and what you can expect to find kind of behind the door panel, which, you know, comes up like this, and the mirror. So what's important to know is we have to retain some of this. So the window channel guide actually screws in here. And that's important because our mirrors that we're going to be using are much bigger than the factory mirror. So they're actually going to come out to like here. So when we weld in our plate, our mounting plate, it's going to envelop this, I guess, and still allow it to retain its factory channel. We may have to trim the exterior rubber just a little bit, but we'll see. It may tuck in there. Essentially what we're going to have is we're going to have a little bit of metal base that kind of overlaps the window. It won't make contact with it or anything, so it should be fine, hopefully. We'll see. So now we have our blank canvas. We're going to draw up a template. In fact, I think I already have one. We'll make sure it fits here. They should be symmetrical. Symmetrical. All right, so here's our template. It's basically going to go in here something like this. Then we will mock it up. We'll drill the holes in the metal first where the holes are going to go. I guess I don't have them on here. Yeah, then we'll weld it and bond to it. and hopefully they'll fit. Then the wiring, oh God, not looking forward to the wiring, but that's somebody else's problem. All right, just cut this out. Fits pretty good. Now keep in mind the door frame itself is not flat, so there's a little bit of a wiggle here, and that ridge isn't helping. But either way, this thing isn't gonna fit in here perfectly flat, so we've got to kind of meet in the middle and kind of just pick where it's going to look the best. I'm going to cater to this leading edge side because it's going to be more visible, and on the bottom here, if it's not perfectly consistent all the way across, that's going to be less obvious, especially with this big old honking mirror hanging off of it. So I'm going to go drill my holes, and to do that, all we're gonna do is take the, these mirrors come with this little rubber, I don't know, it's not a gasket. I don't know what it is. Piece of foam. And that will help us locate the holes. They're not great for locating the holes, but they're gonna get us close enough. So I'm gonna make those marks, make a hole for the wires to come through, then we'll start welding it on. Okay, got the door prepped. We made a hole here for the front bolt. We left the rest of the stuff. We got the factory edge ground down. The other two mounting bolts will be right here on the inside, so between the plate and the window. So I think we're ready to tack it on. Yep. You can see that mounting hole has clearance all the way to the back side. These do, and that's for the wires. I'm gonna need to make that hole bigger for the wires, but I'm gonna wait until we get this welded on. That way we can kind of pick and choose where the hole is without having to get into the factory track. Okay, well done. So just tacked in. I was able to tack the bottom and then kind of bend the top to where it kind of conformed to the radius of the door frame. So now I'll just come in here and kind of incrementally lay that weld in. The goal is going to be to kind of lay it in this gap here so that it doesn't take a lot of grinding. In fact, if it lays below the surface, then we'll just do a little skim coat of Bondo and it won't take a whole lot. We're running 110, 50 amps on some 030 MIG wire. Nothing too fancy here. All right, Henry got this welded in. We'll let that cool down. We'll start grinding. So we got a little bit of undercut here. That's okay. We'll have to grind that down because basically we'll fill in whatever void there we have with a little bit of Bondo and sand it out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. On the inside, you can see how we are retaining the factory track mount and also hoping that the seal will kind of still tuck between the stock edge and the gap. We may have to finesse it some, but there's about a 1/16 inch gap all the way. And worst case, we have to trim it right here. We could probably even trim it and then put a piece of rubber here. And we'll obviously have to trim the seal, the window seal on this side, but that shouldn't be a big deal. Yep. All right, so here's where we're at now. We got the welds ground down. We did a little bit of body work, which I'm awful at, but it's pretty smooth. There's a couple little spots I need to touch up, but we're about good enough at this point. This thing's gonna be covered in dirt all the time anyhow, so if there's any imperfections in these seams, it's not going to be that visible. So we are about ready. I'm probably going to sand it down a little bit more, try to get just a little more smooth, and then the mirrors, we'll mock them up and we'll see how they go. Now notice, you'll see here on this leading edge of the mirrors, the plastic does not go all the way down to the mating surface where we'll be bolted up against the door. Now in the back, it does go all the way, just not here around the front. So I'm probably going to try to take some weather stripping type of foamy stuff and stick it to the inside here. And one, that will cover up this weird gap, and two, I'm hoping it might provide some vibration dampening, maybe not, because we're going to be steel on steel. I guess I can make a gasket or something, but we'll see how it goes. This thing's going to rattle and shake and make all kinds of noise going down the road anyhow, so not too worried about that. I guess I could, oh yeah, they give us a gasket. I'll probably use this, but I'll trim it down. And then we're going to figure out the wiring. I can tell you right now, we're not going to be using all them bad boys. I think I'm just going to shoot for turn signals in the mirror and in the outside of the housing. And I would like to utilize these integrated reverse lights. Those are kind of cool. And it's going to be hard enough to see around this pig anyhow. Man, I need some spacers, don't I? We'll work on that later. But yeah, so a little bit more body work. We're going to get them bolted up, and then we're going to figure out wiring. All right, we went ahead and put this door back on. Now we're going to wait. Obviously, we pulled the windows and this window channel and the belt line off. One, because I didn't want to tear up the glass when I was welding and sending sparks. Also, this thing is going to be painted. We're going to paint the whole thing gold, at least two-tone. And so I just want to leave all this crap off because that's just less to tape off, and we'll get a cleaner line when we paint. But the door's back on. We had to replace the rocker panel, so we did that. And we replaced the hinges with the Endura pins, and it shuts much better. There's still a little wonky stuff going on up here. Like, I don't know why that's recessed, but we're getting off topic. All right, so this is good enough. I'm going to put the mirrors on, and we'll get the wiring done, and then I'm going to pull them back off when we paint anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and put them on, make sure we're happy with the fit. I'll probably need some high build primer or something, because we'll see. That's another reason I want to put the mirrors on, because they may hide some of my sins here. So this door is also ready. So here's what we got. I just picked up this adhesive backed weather stripping. And so to hide this recess, because I'm guessing the Chevys had some sort of plastic trim that kind of received this or made it up with this. So we don't have that. So we're going to take this trim or this window weather stripping. I don't know what it's for. It's universal. And we're going to tuck it in there, and that should give us, I mean, it may not perfectly hide it, but it's going to close that gap significantly. So I'm going to cut this up. We're going to stick it on, and then we're going to plug this one in. All right, so there it is. We kind of trimmed it in there. We kind of beveled it. I kind of goofed up here, but it's okay. Then we trim this down, so this just keeps any metal-to-metal contact with the truck. So this, I'm pretty happy with this. It was bigger. We trimmed it down, obviously, so it just covers where we want it. I don't know. I think that'll be okay. Now is the moment of truth. All right, so you can see we got it kind of mocked up here. I'm gonna tighten these down. And I'm aware I'm probably gonna have to trim these studs down, but I don't want to do that yet. We'll probably do that after we take the mirror back off for paint. I'll mark where I need to trim them. That'll be simple enough. You see the third hole here is in this little slot we made. That'll be hidden by the door panel. All right, we'll get them cinched down. That's not super pretty. I could have done that better. I can readjust that weather stripping though next time I have it off. Okay, and you can see I fished my wires through the door, so I will be able to bleed on everything. I'll be able to make a connection. Typically you want the connection to be obviously outside the door, so you don't have to take the panel off to take the door off. But I don't know if these leads are going to be long enough. It's going to be tight, and we don't want our connector or quick connect in the jam. So we may just do the connection inside the door panel. If I've got to take the doors off, then taking the door panels off isn't that big a deal. So now that we're mounted, let's make sure the door closes. We don't have a bunch of rattles and shakes. Oh yeah, that closed nice. See that foam? This is the part I goofed up. It's not sticking out much, but at least it's hiding that mounting plate. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's stand back and take a look. Oh yeah. That looks awesome. Now one thing, and you might notice, it's kind of angled in a little bit. And I think that's probably because the door pillar here is maybe a little more, you know, angled on this S10 than on a newer style Chevy Silverado. So I can probably put a spacer or a washer in there, or I may leave it. That's not terrible. Now you want to see the magic trick? Oh yeah, Extendo Go Gadget mirrors. Yep. And we are just outside of our fenders back there. That's not bad. Not bad. And the most heinous bodywork I did is right under here. That's not gonna show a whole lot. This isn't great, but I think that's good enough, you know, for who it's for and whatnot. I guess we gotta figure out power now. But that looks pretty snazzy. I wish I didn't have the truck in pieces so we could roll it outside. But yeah, pretty good. I'm gonna get the other one on. So I'm absolutely not gonna go into all the wiring because every vehicle is gonna be different. And the mirrors you get may be slightly different, and I'm gonna just do it my way. But just to give you guys a reference, this kit from Amazon comes with this book, and it tells you the pinouts, which is handy because they could just send you a direct replacement with the plugs, and if you put it on the factory truck, they just plug in. But this actually tells you the wiring for all the makes and models and whatever mirrors. I have the 03 through 07 Chevy, so this is my setup. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference this. I'm going to come over here to my wiring, and I'm going to pick the winners here. And then we're just going to supply power from the turn signals and the reverse lights in the back, and that's how we're going to do it. So just for example, I'm going to strip a couple of these back and put 12 volts to them. We'll just make sure they work, and then, you know, you'll have to figure it out on your own. Sorry about that. Good luck to you. All right, give me 1 sec. I'll be back with the battery. All right, so we hooked up 12 volts. You can see we've got our smoked turn signal, which matches the smoke clearance lights and stuff. We've got the turn signal in the mirror as well as the reverse light. So I just have these to constant 12 volt power. When I wire them in for good, once I finish all the rest of this crap, I'll have them on the turn signal circuit and on the backup light. So I've got them all powered on for now, but that's obviously not how it'll be in the finished project. But yeah, it works. It was pretty simple. I just power and ground, which is the same way all your lights will work. Anyway, so that's that. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the stuff. That's the gist of it. Everything else is just minor detail work or, you know, vehicle specific. So I'll leave links to the mirrors and the weather stripping. Everything else, just random stuff. So thanks for watching.